today. And our lesson tonight comes from John chapter 2, and we'll start at verse 1. And we're going to talk about Jesus' first miracle, is turning water into wine. So we'll get started. I hope everybody's doing good though. It's just a lot going on, and hey, this is life. This is what it is. This is life, and the Lord has blessed us with another day, and I'm determined to rejoice, and I'm determined to be glad in it. So wherever you are, let's go to God in prayer. Okay. Father, we bless you with this opportunity to study your word. Thank you. We're not worthy of it, not deserving of it, but we ask you to bless it. We pray that you would now give us wisdom and knowledge, insight into your word. Open your word up to us that we may see what you want us to see, and that we may take that and apply it to our lives, that we might be better Christians. And we asked all of these blessings in Christ's name. Amen. Jesus' first miracle is turning water into wine. So if you have your Bibles, wherever you are, turn to the word. Go with me to John chapter 2. John chapter 2. And we're going to start at verse 1. Okay. And I'll be reading from New King James. Let's see. We'll go with this. These newfangled Bibles. Let's see what we got here. Here we go. New King James. All right, y'all. Let's read this together. And he said, on the third day, there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. And both Jesus was called and his disciples to the marriage. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus said to him, they have no wine. And Jesus said to her, woman, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. His mother, go get this right. Let's see here. And his mother said to the servants, whatever he says to you, do it. Now there were 6 water pots of stone, according to the manner of purification of the Jews, containing 20 or 30 gallons apiece. Jesus said, fill the water pots with water, and they filled them up to the brim. And he said, draw some out now and take it to the master of the feast. And they took it. And when the master of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and did not know where it came from, but the servants who had drawn from the water knew, the master of the feast called the bridegroom. And he said to him, every man at the beginning sets out the good wine. And when the guests have well drunk, then the inferior. You have kept the good wine until now. Verse 11 says, this is the beginning of signs Jesus did in Cana of Galilee and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. Okay? So that's where we're going to start at. Now, this may not seem, we kind of trivialize this passage of scripture. And I say trivialize it because we don't deal with it a whole lot. We don't talk about it a whole lot. Maybe we have some preconceived understandings about wine and Jesus turning water to wine, but for whatever reason, we don't deal with it a lot. And what I want to do is kind of challenge you today. Let's look at it with a fresh eye, maybe see what really is going on. And maybe you can give me some feedback, and maybe we can learn some things together. So that what starts out, this is the first miracle of Christ. And what we discover first off is there was a wedding. There was a wedding, a Jewish feast in honor of a wedding. So what we discover is, in the problem at the wedding was that there was no wine. And you have to understand that in the Jewish custom, wine was an important part of the wedding feast. So we can talk about some of our modern day ideas or conceptions about alcoholic beverages and all that kind of stuff if you want to. But what I want to challenge you to do is try not to put our 21st century morality into first century biblical terms. It doesn't fit really. And what we try to do is try to line up what we believe is right and wrong according to ancient times. And a lot of times it just doesn't line up. So we have to read what was read during that time for the reader of that time. And then we can try to extrapolate, try to pull from what was read, what was written, something that's relevant to us. Okay. So that's the goal tonight, is to pull from this what we can use. And what can we pull from this passage of scripture that will help us in our walk with God. So let's see. So there are a few things that I want you to see. A few things I want you to see. And I know, I don't know if we have any questions yet, but I'm sure we will have some pretty quick. Yes, ma'am. I was quicker than I thought. I can't. Did you have a question, Lakeisha?
I do. It's both our questions.
Oh, okay. Before we even get started, good.
It's a debate. Yeah, it was a debate. It was the way you read this. It was the way you read the scripture. It was already a debate.
Oh goodness.
She said you should have been louder. I said you should have been louder. No, joking. No, in the story, when the king was like, you set out the best wine when the guests first come, and then you set out the inferior wine after everybody's gotten drunk. He said, and you wait till now to set out the I'm guessing this is the better wine, right?
Yes.
So was he upset or was he excited about the fact that they had set out the wine until then?
Well, we'll get into that, but he was excited. He was excited. So yes, shut your mouth, right? You didn't know what you was about to say. Yeah, you lost first bet. So now what we have is that when they ran out of wine, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus was like, "Well, what do you want me to do? What concern have I to do with this? My hour has not yet come." Now, Jesus in verse 4 said, "My hour has not yet come," is referring to his suffering on the cross. It's a reference to him paying the price for the sins of mankind. He says, "My hour has not come. What do you want me to do? This is not what I came for." In other words, and I want you to get that. I didn't come for this. I didn't come to turn water into wine. I came to save mankind from their sins. He said, "And my time is not yet here." So, but what this speaks of first is that even his mother understood his divinity. She understood who he was, even from the very first start of his ministry. She understood that he was the Son of God. She understood very clearly that Jesus had the authority and the power to do something about this situation. You gotta understand, like you run out of wine, it's not like, "Oh, Jesus, can you, doing disciples, go down to the stove and pick up some wine?" That's not what she said. She said, "We have no wine." And it's as if she's saying, "Well, I need you to do something to fix this situation." And Jesus was like, "Well, I really don't have anything to do with this. This is not my fight." But Jesus, and this is, he relented to the request of his mother. I want you to see that. Even though he said it wasn't his hour, it wasn't his time, what he did was he said, "Okay, I'm gonna honor my mother by what she asked." And the mother said to the servants in verse 5, "Do whatever he says. Whatever he says to you, do it." Okay. Now we're setting the stage for his first miracle. So the first miracle is that there's a need, and it may seem superficial, that, wine at a wedding, nobody's going to die. Nobody's crippled. Nobody's blind. Nobody's deaf. Nobody is possessed with demons. This miracle, along with maybe the feeding of the 5,000, seems a little bit, and I don't want to trivialize the Lord's miracles at all, but it seems benign compared to some of the miraculous things he's done. He started off with something as simple as it seemed, as turning water into wine. Okay, this is, but it's a greater meaning to this. And it wasn't just about the wine. And I want you to see that it wasn't about the wine. He is setting the stage for something much greater. So the wine is an opportunity for him to speak volumes to the people. And I want you to see this with me. Okay. So you're thinking this is about the wine, but this is really not about the wine. So Jesus tells them what to do. He said set there 6 water pots of stone according to the manner of purification of the Jews, containing 20 or 30 gallons apiece. Verse 7 says, Jesus said to them, fill the water pots with water and fill them up to the brim. And he said to them, draw some out and take it to the master of the feast. And they took it. And when the master of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, he did not know where it came from. So he didn't know that the water had been made or transformed into wine. He had no idea. He maybe thought this wine came from someplace else. But the servants who had drawn the water knew. And the master of the feast called the bridegroom. He called the groom and said, okay, look. And he called him and said to him, every man at the beginning sets out the good wine. And when the guests have well drunk, then the inferior wine you have kept. Let me see here. Then the inferior, okay? You have kept the good wine until now. Now, what we're going to unpack is 9, 10, verses 9 and 10. He says something here that I want you to get. That the miracle symbolizes not only the sign of Jesus' ministry, but he says, normally people would set out the good stuff first. And then after people have had a good feel of the good stuff and it's all run out and people have well drunk, in both cases that they're drunk and they're full, then we bring out the inferior wine. Okay. So you bring out the best first, and being at the end, you bring out the inferior. Okay, I want you to get that. You got to get that. So he says, I'm bringing the good stuff out first. And now, after everybody's had a taste of the good stuff and everybody's is full, I'm gonna bring out the inferior stuff, because now that you're full, guess what? You really don't care. You're full now. You're not drinking a whole lot anymore. Okay. You have no discernment of taste because you've already tasted the good stuff, and now everything after that, if you are full, then you can't discern whether it's good or bad. Okay. But what the host says, you didn't do that. And he's talking to the bridegroom because he didn't know the bridegroom had not performed this. But he's talking to the bridegroom. He said, now look, but you didn't do this. What you've done is that you saved the best stuff for last. You saved the best stuff for now. So instead of going from good to bad, you went from good to better. Okay. He said, you didn't go from good to inferior. You went from good to superior. You went up the scale. That was not the way they did things. Tradition says, and you get what he says, this is tradition says. He says, when the master of the feast had tasted the water, he did not know where it came from, but the servants knew. He called the bridegroom and he said to him, every man at the beginning sets out the good stuff. You want to impress everybody. And said, when the guests have well drunk, then the inferior. But you have kept the good wine until now. Now, this is where we're gonna get into some things. Jesus was using the old wine and the new wine first to say that they are incompatible. Okay. New wine and old wine are incompatible. They don't really fit. And they really don't. That you can't, there's a difference between new and old. Now, he's using the wine to make a point. And I'm going to make it for you right quick. I'm going to go to, and I want you to go with me. I'm going to go to Matthew, and we're going to go to 9, chapter 17. Okay. Verse 17 of Matthew 9 says, and this is Jesus talking about old and new don't go together. They don't fit, or they are incompatible. Nor do they put new wine into old wineskins, or else the wineskins break. The wine is spilled and the wineskins are ruined. But they put new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved. Now, I'm going to say something to you here in a minute that I want you to know. Jesus was not really talking about wine. It really wasn't about wine. And I'm going to give you the word here. We're going to get there together. Anybody got any questions before I'm about to drop this on you? Okay. Let's see. My computer, y'all, is a little slow. So when you're looking up scriptures with the computer instead of your trusty books, the word I want to give you is dispensation. And dispensation is DISPENSATION, dispensation. And dispensation is maybe a big word, but it's not really big. It just means an order or system. In biblical study terms, we look at the Old and the New Testament as the old dispensation and the new dispensation. I'm going to show you where we're going. The old way, the law; the new way, grace. Okay. You think about the Jewish way of the law, and then you think about Christ's way of grace. You think about the old dispensation that everybody was guilty and nobody had a chance to redeem themselves. And then you throw grace in there. And grace is that we are all guilty, but we all will deserve we don't deserve salvation. We get salvation. It's a gift of God. Okay. So the law versus grace. And I want you to get the law versus grace. The law is the old dispensation. Grace is the new dispensation. The law is the old way, the old system. The law is the Jewish system, the old way of doing things. The new system is Christ and under grace. This is what the church is under now. So we talk about the old way and the new way. Okay. So, and this is critical because we're going to make this jump now. We're about to make this jump light speed. I'm about to call Captain Kirk, and we're about to make this jump. What he's saying to us, and this is Jesus saying, he says, I came not to make the jump from old to bitter, but from old to better. Jesus didn't go with the tradition of giving wine and then giving something more inferior. So going from an old way of doing things, he says the miracle was meant to symbolize that there is a new dispensation, a new age, a new way of doing things. He says Jesus came to give us the good stuff now. Okay. Jesus' miracle symbolizes that the wine, the new wine is grace, and the old wine is law. When I say new and old, I mean the wine that was first given. You know, this is what the host said. He said, you get the good stuff out first. And then when everybody is drunk, then you give them the bad stuff. But what Jesus did, he changed the paradigm. He says, not only am I not going to give you something inferior, I'm going to give you something way better. So the miracle has spiritual significance and symbolism, because what he's really saying is that I've come to give you something better. The old way, I'm going to give you something better than the old way. You notice the man said, everybody has been doing it this way. Okay, this is what everybody does. This is how everybody's been doing it. We've always done it this way before. Okay, we've always done it this way. We've always done it this way. We've always brought the good stuff out and then the old stuff. That is meant to symbolize, that very verse right there is meant to symbolize that there's always been an old way of doing things. The reason church can't experience the grace of Christ is because we have been so used to doing things the same old way. The same old way. It has been the same old way for generation, and generation. We are in danger of repeating the same mistakes that our Jewish brothers and sisters in the New Testament, in the Old Testament too, what they did, which was hold on to the old way of doing things because it was comfortable. It was tradition. It was what we've always done. Look at what he said. Everyone has always done it this way. That's what he said. He said, everyone has always done it this way. This is what we've always done. We've always handed out the good stuff first. But Jesus, what you've done is you've changed the paradigm. You switched things up. You've made things different. You've broken the mold. You've broken us out of tradition. You've done something that we haven't done before. I want you to see that. The miracle symbolizes that things were going to be different. Not only were things going to be different, but again, they're not compatible. This is old and new are really not, and this is what he says. They're really not meant. You can't hold on to the old way of doing things while trying to push forward into a new way of doing things. The challenge of the church today, we have been through a pandemic, 2020, 2021, Thank you. Thank you, Steph. She asked a question on Facebook. How can we change? We have to be able to embrace change. We can't be afraid of change. But 2020, we have been through a whole lot. And as a result, the church has been forced to change. We've been forced to do some things that we've never done before. And guess what? Not only, and if we embrace that change, and I can say Lomax has embraced that change, we have become better and been in places that the church would never reach before. And when I say new things, we have opportunities to share the gospel with people in other countries. We have the opportunity to share the gospel with people in California, in Texas, all over this country. The internet and being in isolation caused us to put the gospel in a place that where people who normally would not be a part of the ministry would be able to see it. And what I'm saying to you is that oftentimes God uses these uncomfortable places to push us into change. And you say, how can we change? Let me say this first. I think we need to be able to discern change. That this is a God thing. This is not my thing. And what I mean is that anytime God pushes us into change, we need to start praying. God, is this you pushing me into change, or is this the result of mistakes, or what's going on? I'm in a space I've never been before. And the indicator that God pushes you into change is that the place that he's pushing you into will always be better than the place you left. The indicator that God is doing the change will be that you're moving from place to a better place than you came from. Notice what the man said. He said, I'm not going to give you something inferior. He said, I'm going to give you something superior. The change that I'm pushing you into is better than what you left, better than what you had. Now, what we have to be able to do is discern that. See, there's some changes that come along that we've made mistakes, and mistakes have happened, and we've done things that we have to change. But the miracle is that when God changes, when he changes our dispensation, when he changes where we are, when he changes something in our lives, it is always better than what we had before. What am I saying? In order to, this is the indicator. This is what the word says. The word says, this is what, I'm reading what it said. So we ought to start with prayer. Yes, we ought to start with prayer. Discerning if this is the Lord's change or my change. Now look at verse 10. He says, and this, everything hangs on verse 10, I think. He says, every man at the beginning sets out the good wine. When the guests have well drunk, then the inferior. So they go from good to bad. But when Jesus came, he says, I'm going to go from good to better. Jesus is saving the best for now. And that's what I want to say to some of you. He's saving the best of what he has for you for now. And the way we are able to walk in it is that it is God orchestrated. It is God ordained. You've been praying for a change. You've been asking for a change. You've been pleading with God for a change. And when he changes, a lot of times we don't move into that change because guess what? We are afraid of the change. You've been praying. You've been asking God to do something new in my life. I want you to do something new in my life. And when he does something new in your life, a place you've never been before, he pushes you into an area. Maybe it's a job, maybe it's school, maybe whatever it is, he's pushing you into something new, a place you've never been before. What happens? We become afraid. We back up. We become fearful instead of walking in the change that he has for us. we have backed off because change is a scary place. But he keeps saying that I'm not taking you from the place you are to a place down here. He says, I'm taking you to a better place. This is what the miracle symbolizes, that change, when God changes our dispensation, when he changes our feast, our wedding, whatever you want to say, when he changes our lives, when he steps into a situation where we are, when he does something, he is doing it to make it better. He made the situation better. He made the wine better. If I want to say something, he made the party better. He stepped in and things got better when he created that miracle, when he made that miracle. What is that saying to me? When I allow him into the places where I am, and I'm asking God to change my life, change my situation, he is not going to change it for the worse. So we start with prayer. Why do I say start with prayer? Because a lot of us will see the change and we will become afraid because it doesn't look like anything we've seen before. Nobody has ever seen this guy change water into wine, and then nobody's ever seen the wine get better. We've never been there before. What, you gonna give me the good stuff now? That's never happened before. You get what I'm saying? That's never happened before. I've never experienced this before. Why are you doing this? This is out of tradition. We don't do things like this. I want you to see this. This was a change. This was a shift in how things have always gone. When God does something, he will shift the way we do it. He will shift. And when I say shift, he's not going to do it the way you would do it. Because the verse said, everybody does it this way. He said, everybody does it this way. But Jesus said, I'm not going to do it that way. He says, when I do it, this is how I'm going to make the change. So what strategies can we use to accept this change? First, what we have to do is pray for discernment. And we talked about the spiritual gift of discernment. Discernment is to be able to discern this veil between physical and spiritual, being able to discern the move of God, being able to feel that there's a change, that God is doing something. When we're praying and asking God to show me what this change is about. Show me why I'm buying a new house, buying a new car, going to a new job. Show me why these things are happening to me. Why are you moving this way in my life? I sense a change. Why have you brought me into a new relationship? Why have you taken me out of a relationship? I see a change. Why did you allow things in my life to shift like they are? They're changing. And if we're not prayerful, we won't discern the change as something positive. But let me tell you, if God changes something in your life, it is for the better. If God changes something in your life, it is for the better. It is not. God is not going to make your life worse. He's not going to change. He's not going to change your life to make it worse. And what we have to do is be able to flow in the change. And this is what I've discovered in my own life. I've had the worst experiences with change when God has done something and I have fought the change. I have fought against the flow. God was flowing in one way and I was trying to swim upstream. And it was because, guess what? Number one, it wasn't what I wanted or the change that I thought I wanted. Number two, I was afraid because I'd never been in this change before. So it caused me to try to get out of what God was trying to do and get back to the place I was before. And I hope I'm speaking to somebody that I was trying to get back to the place I was before because Before the change, I was comfortable, even if it wasn't the best situation for me. And this is where the party was. I want you to see this now. The people had already drank the good wine. The people are already well drunk because they ran out, right? If they ran out, that means all the good stuff was gone. They had even probably drank up the bad stuff, if the truth be told. So what? Jesus was going to, he said, I'm bringing some more, or we need more wine. What was the tradition? To bring out better or bring out worse? The tradition says, don't give them good stuff now. The tradition says, give them something far inferior. Give them something better. I mean, something worse than what they had at first. I want you to get that imagery in your mind. They drank up all the good stuff. Don't give them no more good stuff. Give them something bad. They ain't going to know the difference. They can't discern the difference. I'm going to say that real soft, so easy. They can't discern the difference. We who are non-spiritual, if you're non-spiritual, you can't discern the difference between what God has for you and what the world is doing to you. You can't discern when God is trying to do something in your life. You can't discern that. And the enemy will have you believing that your life is falling apart. Now, this is where we are. When God creates change in your life, it is always for your better, always for your good. And what we have to do is be able to flow in it, to swim in it, to discern the change, is to pray and ask God, you're moving in this, you're moving in this area of my life. There's a drastic change. I want to know why. Then even if he doesn't show me, help me to flow in it. You may not see the whole thing, but you have to be willing to flow in it. Anybody got any comments? Has that happened to anybody before? God has changed something in your life and you're like, I don't want to do it. And then, but after you got in it, you realize, hey, you know what? This is a God thing. And guess what? The flow was better than what you expected. And it was better than what you left because it was a God thing. Anybody experienced that before? Y'all talk to me a little bit. Nobody has any comments? I have.
He does. And I guess I'm like, yes, mine has been experienced here recently, and it's the walk that he's changed in my life. And before I'm gonna say into the ministry, I'm like, I would have never. I didn't know he was making that change until that urge hit me that day and told me that the change has been complete and I need to go ahead and follow along. So yeah, I felt that change and never knew that he was changing. All of a sudden, there it was presented in front of me, and I knew it was a good thing because I've had nothing but positive reviews since. Like I was at work, totally don't know this person. And so we were having a conversation. At the end of the conversation, he makes a little phrase that I use in one of my sermons, which was, there's no fear in faith and no faith in fear. So he just ends the conversation with, there's no fear in faith. And he gives me a smirk and walk out. I'm like, wow, that's even better than I could have thought, because I had never even met this person. And I'm, just, it was a God thing for me to be able to make a connection with somebody I never even met before.
That's awesome. He speaks to us in strange ways, doesn't he? He does. He does. But I wanted to challenge you today. I wanted you. I wanted to challenge you because so often, see, this whole pandemic has been a change for a lot of us. 2020, 2021 has been a drastic change for a lot of us. Some of us have changed jobs. We've changed places where we live. I mean, we've changed our whole life. And in that change, for some of us, has been filled with anxiety. And what I want to say to maybe some of us who are feeling a little bit anxious about the change is that first, I want to encourage you to pray about it, and consider the fact that maybe God is allowing this change, is orchestrating this change, so you can move into better. So you can move into better. He said, so he wants to take you out of the way things have always been done. He wants to take you away from how people have always done things, how church has always done things. And this speaks to Christians particularly. A lot of time God orchestrates this change in order to push us again. Lomax has been pushed into places we've never been before. Before 2020, we never had Bible study online. Before 2020, we never had worship service really online. We've never had prayer meetings and Sunday schools on conference calls and online. And what that has done is that has expanded the walls of the church. It's caused us to change. The walls have expanded. They have become invisible. You get what I'm saying? The walls of the church have really become invisible. They're only limited by the size of the gigabytes and the Wi-Fi signal that and in the electronic in the frequencies that go out. That's the only thing that limits the size of our church now. And what I'm saying is that this change has been for some, and I ain't gonna say not well received, but some just don't understand what God is doing. And what I'm saying is that anytime God pushes us into a place that we've never been before, he always pushes us into the better. So I want to challenge some of you who are going through change to look at where you are. You say it may not feel, but and again, the reason some of it doesn't feel like it's the better is because you've been fighting it. You've been fighting against God. You've been fighting against the change. I don't want to do this. This doesn't feel right to me. I've never done it this way before. How am I going to make it? How am I going to get through this? I don't know what I'm going to do. And what God is trying to say, and what I believe God is saying through these verses, if we're building a bridge, why is it relevant today? Because he says, when I step into a situation, I'm not going to make things worse. I'm going to make things better. That when I step into a situation, I'm gonna make things better. And this is where we have to trust God. This is where we have to trust God. And I'm hoping that you are starting to feel better about the change that you're in. If you're in a change situation right now, I hope you're starting to feel a little better. I'm hoping that anxiety is going away a little bit. That you feel like, okay, Lord, I sense this change. This came from you. This couldn't be anybody else. You know what? I'm going to jump in and flow in it because I see where you're moving. I see where you're moving me to. You said you weren't going to take me to, you were going to take me to the better. And I'm trusting you, Lord, this miracle, because, we've never been here before. And we've always stayed in the same thing. We've always done the same thing. We've always done it this way. We've always served the bad wine last. I mean, we've always kept the good wine till we've always served the bad wine at the last. We've always done it this way. And what he's trying to show us in this is that I came to shake things up. I came to change things. I came to move things. And I'm taking you to a better place in you. So again, y'all, I know it's not a whole lot tonight, but I'm praying that this will find some encouragement to some folk. Because now I'm even feeling better because I've sensed the change that's in all of our lives. We're constantly going through change. All of us are going through change. And there's some change that God orchestrates. there's some change, some supernatural changes that God begins to orchestrate in our lives. And we say to ourselves, why is this happening to me? Why is this change taking place? And again, I say it and I'm going to say it and somebody going to post it. Somebody's going to tweet it. God is taking you to the better. That's what he's doing. So don't fight it. Don't fight against what God is doing just because you may not understand it and you've never been there before. So again, I'm hoping that you guys have seen what I've seen and experienced this and seen this miracle in a new way. To the people of the wedding feast, it must have been a blessing. What? You gonna give me the real good stuff? You gonna break out the real good stuff at the end? You gonna break out the real goods? What a blessing. You know what I'm saying? You know, you had the little, you had the Kool-Aid, the great Kool-Aid. Now you breaking out the Snapple at the end? What is going on? You breaking out the Welch's? You started out with great Kool-Aid. Now you breaking out, man, what is going on? You had the Juicy Juice at first. Now you breaking out the Welch's. Y'all know how we used to do, Juicy Juice, Juicy Juice ain't juice, right? Y'all know that, right? It's like 1.5% juice and 99% sugar and the rest water. And look, he said, now you breaking out the real Welch's grape juice. And I'm making a light of it, but it's a similar thing. It's like, man, you've been served, you got me this. I've been drinking this inferior stuff so long. I've been lingering in this inferior stuff so long. I've been doing it this way so long. When God comes along and does something new, I don't know what to do. Yeah. And guess what? I've been so used to change not going my way. That's really what that's trying to say. That man was really trying to say that so many times change doesn't go our way. So many times change go from bad to worse. When man changes something, it goes from bad to worse. You should say, look, we drink the good stuff first, then we break out the bad stuff. When man makes change, we go from here to here. That's what man does. If I'm going to change something, if I'm going to make a change for something, it's never going to benefit, guess what? The people around me more than it's going to benefit myself. And when you look at when you break down the social content of this text, the only person to benefit from the wine going from bad to worse was the host of the feast. He didn't have to spend any more money. He didn't have to go in his pocket and pull out any more money to buy good wine. It was an economical sense to give them the good stuff. And then when we run out, they don't go give them no more good stuff. You're not going to waste my good stuff on these people. Give them the bad stuff. I done already gave them what I'm going to give them. So often man does that. So often we do that. When we're in the change that we often bring is often to our own benefit and often doesn't benefit anybody else. But when Jesus brings change, there's always a benefit. There's always a benefit. It always goes to better. The blessing is always better. And guess what? It benefits everybody that it impacts. Everybody that it impacts. So, anybody got any last minute words, y'all? It's 7:24. I told you, it's not
Pastor,
long.
I actually got a question.
Sure.
Because I did and I'm still doing it on the new and old wineskins.
Okay.
And so it says, nor do they put new wine into old wineskins, or else the wineskins break and the wine is spilled. Mm-hmm. And the wineskins are ruined, but they put new wine into new wineskins and both are preserved. My question is this, and I'm trying to word it correctly because I've been trying to think about the words since the verse. bringing it to personal aspects, is that like trying to put old ways with a new mindset?
That's exactly what that is.
And so it's like when you try to put the old ways with the new mindset breaks because you go back to your old ways, and so your new mindset is built.
That's what it says. Now, what you have to do is you have to read when it says this. Jesus is talking to the disciples. And now this is in Matthew chapter 9. Mm-hmm. And Matthew chapter 9, verse 14 through 17, real quick.
Correct.
He's talking to the Pharisees about fasting. And Jesus says to them, can the friends of the bridegroom mourn as long? So he's talking about fasting. This is in the contents of fasting. This is something new. Fasting is what he's really saying is that you can't put an old way of doing things in a new system. He says, this is what he says in 16, you can't put a piece of unshrunken cloth on an old garment. What does that mean? They don't fit. Okay. As the new piece shrinks, it will tear the old garment. So they're not compatible. Mm-hmm. And then he says in verse 17, nor do you put new wine in old wineskins, or else the wineskins will break. Why? The acidity in the new wine will destroy the old wineskin. So the acid in the new wine is what he's saying is these things are incompatible. And incompatibility, and it's really a reference to what Jesus is saying, that what I've come to do is incompatible with the way you've been doing things. That this grace and law is incompatible. It don't fit. It's not going to fit. And he speaks about, how we try to make, and this goes to a greater thing, trying to make our old ways fit into our new way of life. You get what I'm saying? So he's saying,
preach right there.
You saved now. You saved. But you're trying to fit your Jesus back into the place you left. It don't fit. It's incompatible. Both of them will be destroyed. Both of them will be destroyed, really. You can't go back and say, hey, I'm living now for the Lord. You can't, I'm saved. A saved person, the saved me can't go back into my old lifestyle of living before I was saved, or it will destroy me if it doesn't fit. The new me don't fit in the old me. You get what I'm saying? This is what that means. If we're true to ourselves, what we're trying to do is put my new me in my new lifestyle. So I can't be new and still live ratchet. And I'm using that term. I can't do that. And if I'm trying to live for Christ, or if I say I'm saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, and I'm still living like I lived before I was saved, I'm still living ratchet, I'm still lying, I'm still cheating, I'm still ducking and dodging and dipping and doing all that other stuff, it doesn't fit. It's not compatible. It will destroy that. It will destroy your witness. It will destroy your life. And that's what that means. So it don't fit. And that's really what it no longer goes together. It no longer goes together. Who you are now in Christ doesn't go with the 1985 version of me. You know what I'm saying? It don't go with me. The 1990, 1987 version of me, it don't go. And the tendency is that we often, or we are not, and this is real quick, the old us appears to be more glamorous than the new us. It's like looking at a highlight reel from our life. And what we do is we're only viewing the highlights. Our mind playing tricks on me. I heard, somebody say that. Somebody named Bushwick said, I'm sorry, mind playing tricks on me. Your mind will play tricks on you. And what your mind will do is do this. It will only show you the good parts of your sinful lifestyle from back in the day. Man, you had so much fun back then. Man, you was young and you was single and you was slim and you had fun with your friends and partying every night and doing this and that. And you had all this good time and man, you were carefree. And that's a lie from the enemy. That's a lie from the enemy. And he's only showing you the highlights. And if anybody's ever seen, have you ever seen a movie where they show you a preview and then you go watch the movie and it's horrible and like the best parts was the preview? That's what your past life is. And you've forgotten all the misery, all the heartache, all the heartbreak, all the just the downright miserable time you had. Because if it was all of that, you'd have still been a sinner. If the truth be told. If your life was all that, you'd still be out there, boo. You'd still be out there, babe. You'd be still out there doing your thing if it was all of that. But apparently it wasn't all that because now you fall and run into the Lord, talking about, Lord, save me. But see, the enemy will have you saying, oh, man, you know what, man, that was a good time. You need to stay there sometime. And what he's trying to do is get you to put this new saved person back into that old lifestyle because he knows that it will destroy you. He knows it don't fit. He knows it's incompatible. Just like I'm trying to get back into them pants I wore in high school. You know them pants don't fit. Some of y'all laughing. Y'all know them. Y'all know that shirt don't fit no more. Y'all know that shirt don't fit no more. Y'all know that's not in style. Y'all know that's not in style. Y'all know them shirts from 1985 to 1990. Them shirts is not in style no more. Don't break out them shirts and be trying to wear that today.
Go on and put Polly in there, Stretch's house. Go on and put Polly.
So these are the things we wrestle with. And I'm glad you brought that up, Sister Lakeisha. Steph said they would cut off your circulation. Man, if I put them old pants on, I'd be more than cut off circulation. I'd be passed out in the corner somewhere. Lord have mercy. You look, you ain't gonna never see that. That ain't coming back. So if we need to tell our old lifestyle that. We really do. We need to tell our old lifestyle that. It ain't coming back. It ain't coming back. It's just not coming back. And we got to fight against that because the enemy will play that against you. He will say, now look at you now. You know, where's your good time at? The Lord is not, you know, I thought we was going to be better than this. I thought being a Christian was going to be more exciting than this. I thought you were going to be further along than this. And the enemy will make you think that being a Christian is not what it needs to be. And what I'm saying is that's a lie. Okay? Just like sin will cut off your circulation. Oh man, she got me on that one. So again, I'm glad you guys attended. I hope everything was well tonight. But be encouraged. Know that the change that God is taking you to is going to better. Anybody got any last minute comments? We get ready to leave out. I hope all is well. I hope you're blessed. I hope God continues to watch over you and keep you. May God bless you and keep you and watch over you. God bless you. God keep you. And I'll talk to you next time. Amen. Amen. You guys take care and I'll see you later.